Every musician, songwriter, and creative person eventually struggles with something that can keep us from finishing our work, and that is perfectionism. But I think there's a thin line between striving for excellence and striving for perfectionism. One pushes us to bring out the best in our work and eventually put it out into the world, and the other keeps us working on something that will never be finished because it will never be perfect. And I still struggle with this to this day. But over the years I learned how to deal with it. So in this video we're talking about the importance and the power of finishing things and how to let go of perfectionism without losing the drive to create the best work we possibly can. Hey everyone, Mark here. Welcome back to another episode of Mindset of a Musician. This week's topic is the power of finishing things. And this principle doesn't only apply to music or songwriting or producing, it can also apply to any type of creative work, finishing a workout or a training session, or simply finishing something that is difficult but important to you. The enemies, if you will, are perfectionism and procrastination. And I've released 10 singles with my band over the last 5 years, and I've uploaded 32 YouTube videos on this channel this year up to now. So I've had a lot of experience with trying to make things perfect, but also with learning to let go and accepting that finishing something is often more important for growth than endlessly trying to improve it. So let's start by talking about the difference between perfectionism and excellence. Everyone who creates something, whether it's a song, a video, a painting, or anything else, probably wants it to be perfect. And we hear that word all the time. This moment is perfect. This outfit is perfect. Look at them, they look perfect. And in music we have tools like autotune and melodyne that allow us to correct every note. Back in the days of analog recording, musicians had far fewer possibilities to manipulate a performance afterwards. At some point, the performance had to be good enough within the limitations of studio time, technology, and what the musician was capable of performing. And today, we can almost manipulate anything. We can correct every note, we can edit all the timing issues, we can Photoshop pictures to remove skin imperfections or anything else we don't like. So we've built an entire culture around the idea of appearing perfect. But the truth is that none of us are. And I know this sounds so cliche, but I think it's something we have to accept. And the last chapter, we'll come back to this when we talk about the beauty of imperfection. Because if we don't accept imperfection, we can easily lose momentum and miss out on the experience that comes from finishing things. So instead of striving for perfection, I think we should strive for excellence. But what's the difference? Perfectionism is often driven by fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, or simply the feeling that our work isn't good enough yet. And that can make us alter a performance that is already great and human just to make it flawless, and sometimes less human in the process. Excellence is different. Excellence is about trying to do the best work you're capable of doing, while still accepting that mistakes are part of the process. It's about finding joy in getting better, learning from our mistakes, and using that experience on the next project or song. So excellence eventually finishes, and perfectionism keeps you editing. But even if we're striving for excellence, there's still one difficult question. How do we know when to stop? This is probably the hardest part of finishing anything. And I can speak from my own experience of releasing music for more than a decade. I'd say almost 90% of the songs could have been released a few months earlier if we hadn't been trying so hard to make them perfect. So the song was already recorded, the mix was basically finished, but then we went back and started re-recording instruments, rearranging parts, and even questioning if the song was still good enough. Why? Because we wanted to make it perfect. And after a dozen revisions, we almost always went back to one of the earlier versions of the song and released that one. Because somehow, despite all the little flaws and imperfections, it already had the magic we were looking for. So at some point, we were no longer making it better, we were just making it different, and then sometimes even worse. So I've developed a simple rule of thumb. A project is good enough when further changes no longer meaningfully improve what I originally wanted to create. So when we're striving for excellence, we're looking for that magic, that certain feeling that we get when we listen to the song and think, that is what I wanted to create. This gives me chills all over the body. And that simply means accepting some of the little flaws and imperfections that come with it. So another thing that's really helped me recognize when it's time to stop and finish my work is setting deadlines. So my band and I almost never finished our songs by the deadlines we set ourselves. And that is something we want to change in the future and learn from my mistakes. But I took that experience and applied it to my YouTube channel. So I've committed to uploading 50 videos this year, which requires me to upload one video almost every week of an entire year. And that's a crazy commitment for someone who wants everything to be perfect. But I knew what this challenge would teach me about discipline, sacrifice, and most importantly, letting go of perfectionism. So this is video number 33. And so far, I haven't missed a single upload, even through stressful weeks, vacation, and being sick for a few days. If I had tried to make every video perfect by my own standards, with invisible cuts, cinematic B-roll, and professional graphics, I would have probably not uploaded more than a handful of videos by now. So instead, I chose to strive for excellence. And that means accepting where my skills are right now, publishing the video and learning from my mistakes. The irony is that by religiously sticking to my deadlines and sometimes even uploading videos that still feel unfinished, I'm actually getting better. Because every finished video gives me experience that an unfinished video never could. And that deadline creates a certain pressure that forces me to make decisions, finish the work, and move on. So if I allowed myself to miss every deadline I set, that pressure would disappear. Now I can look back at video number 1, compare it with this video, which is number 33, and see the progress I've made along the way. And that progress only exists because I kept finishing things. So set yourself a deadline. Do the best work you possibly can within that time frame, and when that deadline arrives, learn to let go and finish it. I first came across the Japanese concept of Wabi-Sabi in the book Nagomi. It's a philosophy that finds beauty in simplicity and imperfection. And I think that's exactly the mindset we need as creators. So when I listen to old blues, jazz, and soul recordings, there are imperfections everywhere. I mean, notes aren't always perfectly in tune, timing isn't always perfectly aligned, you can hear noises that could be easily removed today. And yet I get chills all over my body when I listen to that music. Why? Because it's raw, it's honest, and it's human. So those imperfections often became part of the recording. And today we're surrounded by perfectly edited music, photos, videos, and social media posts. And when that's what we're constantly exposed to, it's easy to think that our own work needs to be perfect as well. Or we become afraid of how people might react when it doesn't. And I'm guilty of that too. I mean, I use Melodyne on my vocals. I've recorded 50 vocal takes just to realize that the second take already had the magic I was looking for. So I'm trying to bring out more of the Wabi-Sabi philosophy into my own life and into my creative work, to focus more on what's meaningful, to focus more on the magic, and to stop chasing a version of perfection that might not even exist. So the next time you want to rearrange a song, rewrite lyrics, or record another vocal take, ask yourself one simple question. Why? If the answer comes from fear of judgment, the need to be flawless, or the desire for external approval, you might be chasing perfection. But if you genuinely feel that the change will bring you one step closer to what you originally wanted to create, you're striving for excellence. So do your best, look for the magic, accept the imperfections, and then finish it. So I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to dive deeper into topics like this, feel free to join me in my Mindset Monday newsletter. Link is in the description. And please let me know in the comments what you think about perfection and excellence. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.